All right, for injuries today, limited in practice will be Ford, DJ Jones, Kittle, Debo, and Raheem, and Staley. Staley's going to try to do individual today. Guys who won't practice, Witherspoon, McGlinchey, and Juice. Go ahead.
How did everything come together yesterday as far as Emmanuel Sanders?
John's working the phones for the last few days, seeing if anything could come up, and I think he closed it out probably 20 minutes before you guys found out, so wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, and definitely was pumped it did.
I think you mentioned on Monday that you weren't operating with more urgency than you had the last couple of years. Is a veteran receiver somebody as accomplished as him or Sanders himself? Was he on your radar, somebody you were trying to get these last couple of years?
Yes, definitely. Emmanuel's been a guy I know I personally wanted since probably like the last 8 years, since he became a free agent in Pittsburgh. Huge fan of him coming out of the draft and everything he's done since. But we were looking into all possibilities. We didn't know if any were going to go through. I know I answered that question the other day, and I meant it. Have felt less urgency than we have in the years past. I feel good about our group, but we do have a better team right now, and we were able to make it better yesterday, and pumped he's here.
Well, were you able to see enough from him during those joint practices in August to form an opinion of where he stood after that Achilles injury?
Not totally, because he was just getting back into practice, didn't go a ton. And it was just practice. We weren't doing it's more of a grind then. What's been the best is being able to watch him in all his games this year, and just being able to compare him to before the injury. And I thought he looked healthier in these games this year than he did last year before his Achilles, because I know he was playing last year real banged up before that Achilles happened. And what he's done in these 5 or 6 games, really liked how he looked on tape, and so I was glad that we were able to get him.
What's it like to get him acclimated?
What's that?
What's the process like to get him acclimated for this week, and how much?
It's a cram job. We're doing a lot of stuff. He got in late last night. I know Westman met him over at the hotel just to review a bunch of stuff before he got in real early today. He went through install. We just went through walkthrough. I know he's sitting there probably eating lunch and going over the stuff now, and we'll go out and practice and see how it goes, and then we'll come in and watch it together, and I'm sure he'll stay with Weston Miles throughout the night. So it's always very tough to get a guy caught up. Definitely gives us an advantage that he's got some familiarity with the offense, which what he was doing in Denver. Just some of the verbiage and stuff will help get him a head start on how to line up, but still a lot of work to do with it.
You mentioned you thought about Sanders over the years. Have you envisioned him at a certain position? Seems like he's played just about everywhere.
Yeah, no, he's got the ability to do all 3 of them. So wherever we fit him in, we got a kind of an idea, but we'll settle that on Sunday. But regardless wherever we lock him into what position, he's a guy who could play outside, could play inside, could play to the tight end, could play on the open edge. So he can do it all.
You mentioned that you've been eyeing Sanders for the better part of a decade, and you also mentioned, just his familiarity with the scheme. But what about his particular skill set do you think allows him to be able to just, plug in and play, especially coming up against Carolina?
I think he's always been very good at separating. He's wired in a certain way where he can get downfield. He also can break you off inside. Not the biggest guy, but he plays big. He's hard to get your hands on. He can push through things, and he plays very aggressive. The game is not too big for him. He can go over the middle and not flinch. He catches the ball and gets up the field hard. He's a very good football player, plus still a very good talent also.
I don't know how much you know about Rich's playbook in Denver, but what will be the biggest adjustment? Is his playbook and his scheme very similar to yours?
I'm not totally sure. I've talked to Rich, but it's different. You change words when you go to places, so you got to marry some stuff up and be like, it meant this, but it's the same thing. How they probably coach routes is different, however he sees it, and his receiver coach and stuff. And I'm sure it's a little bit different than us, and we're a few more years into it also, so when each year things build and build, it just becomes your own. So I know they're in their first year and they're in the beginning of it, so I'm sure it's a little bit more advanced just with how long we've been together, and that's what try to catch Emmanuel up on.
The move doesn't come without risk, given his age, some of his recent injury history, what you're giving up for a guy who may not be here next year. Why was it worth it in your mind? And did some of those risks give you any pause?
It always gives you pause when it comes to draft picks and everything. But we feel he's a guy who can come in and help us a lot this year, and we'll see where it goes from after that. we're very well aware that he'll be a free agent at the end of this year, and we'll see how this year goes, and hopefully we'll be able to keep him here. But risks always go into that, but you can get guys hurt on your roster and be out of luck. When you only have 7 more days or whatever it is to decide that, and then you got to go through the rest of the half year without it. I remember us making a decision that first year not to do it. We didn't miss on one. We decided not to go through with it, and then the next day something came up with Pierre's neck, and he had to go on IR basically the next day, and then you had to go 8 weeks without a guy. That's just kind of what's tough with the rules. So you kind of got to make those calculated risks before it shows. I know Emmanuel, giving up a 3rd-round pick, hopefully that 4th-round pick won't be much different between Denver and us on what that 5th-round pick is. But with that being said, we felt good about it because we know the type of player we got, and we know how much he can help us.
Where exactly do you think stand with Trent and Jalen? I know you said you were holding out hope, but is there a lot of hope? Or?
It's not as much as there was earlier. They both had chances to come back earlier. Both of them have had setbacks, which had to start a couple things over. So we haven't ruled them out. But I'm still hoping for it, but it's not something we can for sure count on.
What does it say about where you believe this team is, where John believes this team is, that you'll go out and get a veteran guy who only has half a year remaining on his contract?
I think it says that we're competing this year to try to get in the playoffs, and I think that's pretty obvious with where our record's at right now. But we're not even halfway through this year, so I know we got a long way to go. But this is a decision you got to make before next Tuesday. So with where we're at right now, we want to see how much better we can make our team. And I think we did as good as we could in that area without really, truly making a huge more risk on the future.
Did it factor in the fact that he's a guy who's played in 8 playoff games and a couple Super Bowls?
I don't really look at it like that. But it factors in that you think he's a veteran football player who nothing's too big for, and he knows how to win. Winning's important to him. He does everything. He competes in the run game, the pass game, and I've seen him play in a lot of big games and be the reasons why that team's won. So I guess it does. But it's not like you just look and say, I want someone who's been in big games. I want someone who's played big in big games and played big consistently over his career, and that's what Emmanuel's always done.
Claire, do you expect him to play against the Panthers?
Yes. Yeah.
How much you guys were talking, or when it was talk about you guys maybe bringing in a cornerback, trading for a cornerback, Sherman was very outspoken saying he wanted to ride with the guys in-house. Do you worry about how the other receivers, what their reception will be for Emmanuel and how the locker room?
You always got to take the human element into it. We got a great team, and our guys work as hard as they can be. So everybody, and it's everyone's job also. So, and there's not numbers for everybody. So always when you add a new guy in, everyone wants to know what does that mean. So you could try to talk with the guys and explain it, and but it's part of our business. If you can improve your team, you have a responsibility to do that as a coach, as a general manager, all of us, and we had that opportunity to do it. So you don't hesitate on it. And if there wouldn't have been an opportunity, we've been 6-0 with the guys we got too. So we do feel good going with our guys, but we know we added a better guy that makes us better.
Sure. Who's going to see less playing time then?
I don't know yet. Depends how the week goes.
What do you expect from the Panthers on Sunday?
Fan base?
From Panthers.
The Panthers? I expect to see a very good team. They got as good of a defense as I've seen on tape this year. Reminds me a lot of ours. What they can do to the quarterback with their front four, and still keep 7 guys in coverage, looking at the quarterback a lot, playing a lot of zone defense. They're very hard to move it on down the field, and they look like they have one of the top defenses. And when it comes to their offense, they're running the ball as well as anyone. I think they're 5th in the league in scoring points. When you are that high scoring points, you pair that with a good running game and a good defense. It's no surprise the record is what it is.
We get pressure with a lot of
2017, who was the receiver? Was that Sanders?
When?
You talked about you were going to make a trade for somebody?
Oh, we were looking into guys. There was a couple guys. Sanders wasn't available. Yeah.
Their front fourth being able to get pressure from a lot of different spots. How difficult is that to scheme against when they can do it with the number of guys they have?
It's always difficult. And it's difficult in the pass game too. When guys can get there with 4, you want to get rid of it quicker, but it's harder to get rid of it quicker when there's 7 guys in coverage. So there's a balance there. When people blitz, they can get there faster, but it's easier to get guys open. So that goes hand in hand. You got to be very balanced on offense and do a little bit of everything to kind of put them in a bind and make them do stuff that they don't want to do. And sometimes you can unlock their scheme doing it that way.
Following up on Taylor and Hurd, is it accurate that they may not physically be ready this year, like you won't have an option to bring him off IR, if that makes sense.
We'll see how it keeps going. I think we will have an option, but it's been a lot longer than anticipated. And there's been a couple setbacks, so you had to start a couple things over. I think they are allowed to. I think Hurd's allowed to the Baltimore week. I want to say Trent might be a week earlier. And I think they can practice 2 weeks before that. So, we'll see how it goes. But it was a lot more optimistic earlier in the year. But there's been a few setbacks that, we can't guarantee that. And that's a risky thing when you're dealing with injuries and stuff. It's a risky thing to do when you got to make a decision here by next Tuesday where we're going to go.
Can you talk a little bit about your impressions on Kyle Allen?
I think he's hopped in and done a hell of a job. He's a guy we liked a lot coming out. He's a very good thrower, plays the game very well. He's hopped in and ran their offense very well. And when they've asked him to make plays, he's been very accurate at throwing to their guys. If you give him time in that pocket, he can make any throw, and he's involved the receivers very well.
Joe working out on Washington. Do you expect Joe to be active at some point this week and maybe to Sunday?
So what was the beginning part?
We saw Joe working out on Washington before the game. Do you expect him to do something different this week?
Yeah, he's going to try to do individual today. I think there's an outside chance that he'll play Sunday.
Your debut was against Carolina in 2017. How much of do you view this as a measuring stick, almost with a new roster, being able to face him again?
I see every week as a measuring stick. And Carolina is always a tough team. I've been, being in that division for a couple of years, having to play them twice a year, playing them the year they were 15-1. We beat them the year we were that one win, but can't brag about that too hard. We got shut out like 33-0 2 weeks before that also. So they've always had a good team. Some of the players have changed. They still have Kuechly, who's as good as it gets. Even though the D-line's changed a little bit, it's still the results the same, is as good as it's always been. You got 24 in the backfield, as good of a corner as there is. They're a very good defense, and they're still running the ball very well.
Considering that Wes Welker and Emmanuel spent a pair of seasons in Denver together, was Wes someone that you guys consulted before making this move?
Always. It always starts with the tape, and you think you can have a pretty good idea on people's demeanor, personality, their character a little bit by watching how they play, but you never know for sure. So it was real nice to have someone in our building who's been with them. Wes was a player with them, so we knew him pretty well that way. We got Dustin Little, who's our trainer, was a trainer out there for the whole time Manuel's been there. So we have some guys who know him, which kind of confirmed how we felt about him anyways, which makes you a lot more confident to do something like that.
You guys are calling more running plays, or at least you're running the ball at the highest rate in the league. You've been playing with a lot of leads, and you mentioned how you're trying to complement the way the defense is playing, but is it safe to say that if you had more confidence maybe in your receiving core, that there would be a little bit more passing plays in your offense?
No, the way these last few weeks have been gone, that wouldn't have changed. That has nothing to do with the receivers. That has to do with the best way to win a game. And you go into a game every week thinking about what you think the best way to win a game is. Then you get a feel each quarter. And then by the second half, just watching our defense, the way we have ran the ball, the way our quarterback and receivers, O-line, tight ends, the way they've done on third down to keep us out there, it gets to a point in that game that you're trying not to turn it over. And our guys have done a real good job of that to where we can just run the ball. And we wouldn't be running the ball if we didn't convert third downs. You can't get a bunch of runs if you go 2 run plays and then you throw on third down and it's 3 and out. So to be able to run the ball like that and convert third downs and I think we're doing pretty well in the league with not having many 3 and outs, and I think our defense is right up there 1 or 2 with the most 3 and outs. So it's a very good trade-off on how to win games, and when it's not like that, you got to adjust.
Last one, gentlemen. 3 and outs.
Nice. Appreciate it. Don't jinx us.
The way the Panthers use Christian McCaffrey, do you feel like it's more because of his skill set or just their offensive scheme, the way they use him all over the field?
Both. I think, he's a special player. He can do about everything. He reminds me of Marshall Faulk. He can beat you in the pass game. He can beat you in the run game. They're doing a great job on how to use him because they're using him as much as possible. And Christian is not many players you can do that with, but he has the ability to do it. You can tell he's a very smart player, extremely talented, and that's why he's being mentioned some of the best in the league this year.
All right, thanks. We got Jimmy coming.
Thanks, guys.